Hello, I'm very glad to welcome you to the second day of the World Conference on the Future of Our Children, today dedicated to one humanity, awakening the global heart. The global heart is the sphere of emotions, affects, and the more subtle and powerful human qualities in which we all live. Affects, emotions, qualities are forces that move and qualify our actions. Today, you have a very special opportunity to travel with our keynote speakers through deep understandings of human experience. Wider views supported by universal principles, commitments, and actions that can certify our common humanity. Awakening the Global Heart is also the aim of a global learning program launched by Recon Global to promote local-based educational practices for children protection and full development. To clarify our journey, we are honored to open today's section with Dr. ERVIN Laszlo, a well-known world thinker, philosopher of science, president of the Club of Budapest, published more than 100 books and academic papers. Dr. Laszlo's presentation is anchored by Nóra, Csiszár, psychologist, IT and PR director of the Laszlo Institute. Thanks, Nóra.
ERVIN, how do we know that it's true that we are all connected? Because spiritual people have been saying this for centuries, but now the serious scientists are also joining in. So what do you think? Are we really so directly and permanently connected, or this is all just something that people came up with and we would like to believe it? What do you think?
Well, you know, there are different ways to view the world. One of them is through connection. And that way is what is called a holistic way. When you see the whole system as a whole, humanity on the planet as a whole. And then you see everything within that is connected. The other way is the atomistic way. And you see, I see only one thing at a time. There's one thing connected to one other thing, you know, and I can manipulate that one by one. And that was the atomistic way, but was this a worldview based on considered science. But it was the science of Darwin, of Newton, and of these people who are thinking of things bit by bit, you know, the logical atomist. So then you could manipulate. And still, I think political leaders and economic leaders very often think one thing at a time, and they try to manipulate. They only think of themselves, thinking that they can only affect themselves and one other thing, or a couple of other things. But Garrett Hardin, you know, who was a great ecologist, said, you cannot never do one thing. He said that, because once you try to do one thing, a whole lot of other things follow. So what I'm saying is, there could be a world built on the atomistic principle. There could be a world based on the holistic principle of all things are connected and forming one whole. Each is possible. But today, science supports the holistic view. That's the new factor. It used to be thought that the atomistic view, you know, things bits and pieces at a time. And that view is the dominant view. That is the true world. We're working like that. And science today, the traditional science, which is taught in mainstream universities, often takes this atomistic view still. But on the leading edge, which comes from the new physics, the quantum physics, comes from the quantum biology, quantum psychology, the new consciousness research, the new ecology. All of these are seeing that how all things are connected together. So they see the world as a whole. What is this whole? This whole is made up of all of humanity. It's made up of all of life on the planet. And beyond that, that is the universe as a whole. The universe as a whole starting to evolve 13.7 billion years ago after the Big Bang, and continually evolving. And it's evolving as a whole system. So we are part of that. To view that, to view ourselves as part of that, is to have a very different worldview, a very different paradigm. Skeptics can point to the fact that we don't see all these connections. What we see is only one thing at a time. I want to say that's true, but we don't see everything the way it is. We only see a part of reality. We know that the brain only picks up a very small portion of all the information that's reaching it. So we know that when we move on to other levels of consciousness, which you can measure with the frequencies of the electromagnetic field, the EEG patterns, electroencephalographic patterns, we see that on deep frequencies, on low frequencies, also very high frequencies, things are connected. One thing affects another thing. There's experiments show this. And of course, physics experiments show that particles are connected instantly over space and time. So there is evidence. I don't want to harp on this point. I want to say there is evidence that the world is indeed whole and that we are part of it, but we don't perceive it with our eyes or everyday mentality immediately. It's almost a hidden, a higher or a deeper reality. We are now discovering it. Thank goodness, it's important to discover it. As we can pursue our conversation, it's very important, and why we can perhaps see that too.
Indeed, but what do you think? Would it make a difference if people would be actually aware of their interconnections? Like, would that make a better world?
But think of this. A normal person within a family is not killing each other, is not purposely harming. The closest connections between spouses, between lovers, between mother and children, they feel themselves together. In fact, there is a connection between them. We know that phenomenon of the twins feeling each other even over distance. We know that mothers are feeling their newborn children or their young children. And when there's something wrong with them, they feel it over distance, and over time and over distance. We know that there are connections, and these connections bring two people together in peace. These connections try to find coherence, try to find love. So if you would feel yourself being connected to not only to your own family, but to your tribe, to your tradition, to your culture, to your country, and perhaps even to humanity, you would behave very differently, because you wouldn't be killing each other like that. We wouldn't be have aggressions like this. We wouldn't think that we can do just one thing and just look at ourselves and never mind the rest. The Aborigines of Australia, we call them primitive people. They are highly developed, highly evolved people, actually. They can sense each other, even over distance. They can sense what happens to the people as they're going through the forest, for example. And people who are sensitive, have had a higher what they call spirituality, they have this sensation. And when you have this sensation, then obviously, then you behave more like a member of a family and not somebody else. The whole concept that we have of stranger, foreigner, that's all part of the atomistic worldview. This is me and that's you. In the holistic worldview, there is no real you other than each other. We are all part of one thing. At the leading edge of science today, people like Erwin Schrödinger and Albert Einstein and Jung and Pauli and these people have always said there is oneness in the world. Separation is an illusion. And when people act like this, when people see like this, when people feel like this, then they act differently. So I think it was a good idea indeed to recognize that we are part of a human family, which is a one whole family. We are part of it, and we can move forward because we have a consciousness, and we can orient our consciousness so that we are not just a passive participant, but we could be an active promoter, somebody who is actually moving, trying to move the system forward, evolving higher to higher level, upshift it, as we call it.
About consciousness, like we do know that humans have consciousness and animals have consciousness, and you frequently mention planetary consciousness. Can you explain that a little bit?
Consciousness, of course, again, the atomistic view is consciousness is mine, it's only mine, it's only in my brain, it's produced by my brain. And if something happens to the brain, then the consciousness vanishes. There is simply no consciousness. So my consciousness and your consciousness are separate, you know. But now we recognize that consciousness is so strongly interconnected that on this more subtle level, what happens to one consciousness also affects the others. Erwin Schrödinger, a great physicist, said there is no sense in which we can talk about consciousness in the plural. There's only one consciousness. Many learned volumes have been written on the idea of a one consciousness. It used to be just purely spiritual speculation. Today we know that consciousness is not limited to my brain, it's not produced by my brain. We are transmitters, as it were. Consciousness is as much a part of the universe as energy is, as information is. And I would say it's much more real than what used to be called the most real of all things, which was matter. Matter is, in a sense, something that we perceive as such, because things are on a level of these coherent waves, become so coherent together, so well work together, form single entities, form larger units which appear like matter, but actually all things are vibrations, frequencies working together. The great maverick physicist Nikola Tesla said, if you want to know more about the universe, think in terms of frequencies. Yes, vibrations and frequencies. Ultimately, we are all part of the universe of vibration. And if we know this, then we will start acting differently. People who are, for example, have the sensitivity, the Aborigines, but also people in India and in Asia who believe in reincarnation, they know that the other person is not different from them. It could have been them in a previous incarnation. Or they could be also that in the next incarnation, perhaps. You know. So when you know connection, when you feel connection, you don't disregard, you don't harm on purpose. You know. So it's very important to change our mindset from the atomistic to the holistic mindset, based on connection and on oneness, not just esoteric ideas, concreteness. The most successful species are those who are collaborative, who work together, and not those who just compete. It's not just the survival, not that the fittest who survives, the most collaborative that survives. We now know this in the new biology.
More like about evolution. So do you think our next evolutionary step is planetary consciousness?
Indeed. This is exactly what I think, yes. It could be. No, it's not guaranteed. It's not a mechanistic, deterministic step. Just sit back and then you're going to grow evolutionary consciousness. I think we have to collaborate. We have to recognize this. If given enough time, of course, we would reach that. But there's also a danger in between. You have these points of critical points, you know, the tipping points, and they could lead to extinctions. Many species have become extinct, you know, the majority actually of the complex species. We have a consciousness. We don't need to become extinct. We would know how to evolve together. The next step is to recognize our oneness, create a consciousness which embraces the planet, That's what I call a planetary consciousness. It's not the consciousness of the planet. It's a consciousness of being part of the planet. And that, I think, is what we need to become a better citizens of this planet.
Well, that's very inspiring and makes me a little bit more optimistic, because sometimes I feel that this planetary consciousness is rising, but more of something that's happening, like it's not very nice and clear at the moment. It's just how I feel, because all these crises that are going on right now, will we make it beyond all these different things? Like it seems like everything is happening all at once, everywhere, at the same time. And sometimes I'm very optimistic, sometimes I'm a little bit skeptical, but how are you? Are you optimistic? Are there things that we can do to make it work, basically?
I am hopeful.
Mm.
I know that there is an opportunity to make a better world. I know the opportunity to evolve. We can, in a way, in an odd way, we can be thankful for the crisis, whether it's the climate change, whether it's the migrants, whether it's the virus, whether it's now a war and aggression. I'm not saying we should have more of these, we should overcome them, but what they do is to give us a push. In cybernetics, one talks about an initial kick, that you launch a complex system, you give it this kick, that means you give it a push at the right point, at a given point, and then everything starts to move, everything starts to change. It's a highly interdependent, highly sensitive system in which we live. And this system undergoes periodic transformations, not regular intervals, but it's some of these so-called bifurcations are more deep than others. What's been happening through history, the recent history, is that these critical points, these bifurcations, have been growing from the local level to the regional level, to the national level, to the continental level. Now they're up to the global level. Now we are all on the same boat. We are all in the same bifurcation. Bifurcation, I mean, not we literally bifurcate. Our evolution bifurcates. In other words, from one evolutionary branch, now several are opening up. Which way do we go? All become possible. As long as the system was very stable, it's passive. A stable system, you can't move it out of its rut, as it were. Now we have been moved out, we've been kicked out of the old rut. And we are now facing a situation where the question is arisen, the question is posed ever more: where do we go? How do we go? Who does it? These were not questions that could be meaningfully asked or having answers to while the system was very stable. It was hierarchical. It moved the way it was, the way it's going to be, the way it was. It's no longer the case. So we are moving through a crisis which is a catalyst for progress. It can be made that. It can be an overture to breakdown. Yes, it can. But it's up to us to work in time, to wake up in time and work together. Create a coherent system of which we are a part. What we have been speaking about all along is our sense of being one with others, our sense of being connected, sense of love for each other and for the world, for the life around us. I mean, that is the result of a positive bifurcation. That is when we're going the right way. And the fact that all of the world is now in the same boat and we recognize that humanity is one, for better or for worse, you see, that is, and that we hope the future is very much open. All that is a sense of hope. So I say I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic. I am possibilist. I say, yes, we now have a possibility.
I like that, a possibilist. You're already an accomplished author, and I do know that you have a new book that came out a couple of days ago. It's called The Upshift. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yes, Nóra. In fact, I got a copy 2 days ago.
All
I
right.
received it in the mail, a copy which is hopefully it can be seen. It's called the Upshift, the Path to Healing and Evolution on Planet Earth. Trying to show is that there is a path, a positive bifurcation path, a path up, shift up. And so in this book, I'm trying to explain that if we would shift up together, that would be the way to heal, because then we would not exclude each other. We would not try to outcompete each other, not to kill each other, but to work together, as nature always does. Nature always works together, even if there is a level natural, but a food chain, there is some violence there, but altogether, each species supports every other species, and everything, all of nature, the biosphere, forms a complex, coherent system. If we would do that, we ourselves could become such a system. So this book is attempting to, in a short while, in 120 pages or so, has described the main elements. What is missing? What do we need to create a better world? I say Gandhi was right. We need to become the change we want to see in the world. How do we become a more positive citizen of humanity on Earth? And then, not then, any time, of course, people who wake up and say, okay, so how can I do something? How can I find others? For this reason, we are now creating, as we know, as you yourself know, an integral part of this, at the Laszlo Institute, we are creating the Upshift movement so that people can join. Joining is free. You don't ask people money. We ask them to give their ideas, to describe what they think is the good way to go forward, a wiser way, a positive way. And then we try to bring like-minded people together with projects. We ask sponsors to try to, if they can help them to finance these projects and to create not only in thinking, but also in action, create a better world. So everybody can join. We try to make it a democratic movement, a massive movement, reach that critical mass where the world can really start to change in practice. So both of these things, Upshift book, the Upshift movement, are recently being launched, they're newly launched initiatives. And we hope very much that people the world over will pay attention to them and come and join. As I said, it doesn't cost anything, but it does bring us people together. We try to be together to solve our problems. Thanks for asking the question. I'm very eager that the people at this conference, a global conference, because nowadays everything has moved on to the global level. The action is on the global level. And that here at this global conference and the future conferences, people will pay attention, because our future and the future of our children will be assured if we work together, if we realize that we are basically one family, one humanity, one Earth. That, I think, is the lesson. Now science supports it and we can experience it. Let's do it. Let's do it. That's my message.
That's perfect. So we're going to ask people to go to the upshiftmovement.com and join the Upshift movement. And just to end this wonderful interview, do you have a word that you can leave for us, for people, especially young people? Some very positive, possibilist message.
Indeed, I'm so disappointed when I see all the unheartening or the disheartening, all the pessimism, all the drawing back into oneself that is going on. Not by everybody, obviously, but there's also some of that pessimism around that paralyzes. My message is to wake up, because this is the first time in history, not only human history, the history of life on the planet, when there is a species that is becoming aware that it is part of the whole, that it can become a positive, a constructive part of the whole, and it can do something about it. It's a historic moment. You've been born at a wonderful time, the time when your life that is ahead of you could be a critical turning point, past the turning point, into the new way, into the path toward healing and evolution. Make yourself a part of evolution. It's not difficult. The opposite is difficult, to block it all the time. To go with it means what the young people call it, go with the force. It means going with the force. Evolution is a force. Go with it. You find it in yourself because deep down in your consciousness, you realize, you know that you're an evolving entity working together, moving toward higher and higher levels of coherence and oneness expressed by love. So it's a marvelous time to be alive. Wake up and act. That's what I want to say to young people.
Thanks, Dr. Laszlo. Thanks, Nóra. I am very pleased to introduce now our next keynote speaker, Mr. HIROO SAIONJI, President of the Goi Peace Foundation, international speaker, member of the Great Transition Initiative. He received many international peace and awards. In his presentation, Mr. SAIONJI illuminates fundamental features education has to embody to become an effective and beneficial force for humanity's future. Mr. SAIONJI.
Hello, my name is HIROO SAIONJI, President of the Goi Peace Foundation in Tokyo, Japan. I'm delighted to join the World Education Conferences and contribute to today's theme, One Humanity, Awakening the Global Heart. With wars and conflicts, health and environmental crises unfolding before our eyes, even the most optimistic of us may wonder if human civilization is evolving toward universal harmony or heading down the path of destruction. This is indeed a time of great transition, and there is a growing need for change in our ways of thinking and acting. In this respect, I believe we need to promote a value-based education to awaken the peacemaker within every person to overcome divisions and conflicts still prevailing in the world and to create a sustainable and harmonious new civilization. For education to have any substantial effect on the course of humanity's future, I believe knowledge, skills, and even teaching ethics are not enough. It needs to inspire fundamental change in our consciousness and value system. We need to promote education that delves deeply into our worldview and understanding of life. We must squarely deal with essential questions such as what is our true nature? What is the purpose of our existence on this planet? And how do we wish to evolve as human species? Unless our education and our outlook on life are based on serious inquiry into these fundamental questions, I believe that human beings on Earth will eventually stop evolving and will be driven to the brink of destruction. I believe it is important to provide school education that explores life itself so that children naturally develop a reverence for life. What then is our true nature and our purpose on earth? In an effort to articulate a meaningful response to these questions and accelerate humanity's conscious evolution, my wife and I, along with system philosopher Dr. Laszlo, co-authored and launched the Fuji Declaration in 2015. Over 60 partner organizations and 200 founding signatories have joined this initiative, including heads of state, Nobel laureates, scientists, artists, authors, educators, and peace advocates, along with tens of thousands of people around the world. As we have stated in the Fuji Declaration, the great spiritual traditions tell us that as its root, human life is linked to its universal source. Today, the latest advances in sciences reaffirm this timeless insight. When we rediscover our connections to nature and the cosmos, we can realign our life with the universal drive toward oneness and harmony. We can awaken the divine spark that resides in our heart and bring forth our innate love, compassion, and wisdom. We have been born at a critical juncture in history with a shared mission to bring peace on earth. By choosing to live consciously and responsibly, we can shape our own destiny, create a world of peace and dignity that unfolds the full potential of the human spirit. The paradigm of the new civilization is a culture of oneness. Just as all the cells and organs of our body are interconnected and work together in harmony for the purpose of sustaining our life, each and every living thing is an essential part of the larger symphony of life on this planet. Recognizing that we are all a part of a living universe consisting of great diversity, we can co-evolve with one another and with nature and design a flourishing civilization for the coming generations. In order to advance towards such a new civilization, our education system needs to evolve. What we need is an education that awakens the inherent goodness and sense of purpose in every child, who will become a true peacemaker for our planet. As an educational peace-building organization based in Japan, the Goi Peace Foundation is dedicated to fostering a sustainable and harmonious global society by promoting consciousness, value, and wisdom for creating peace and building cooperation among individuals and organizations across diverse fields, including education, science, culture, and the arts. Our educational programs for young people, in particular, are designed to nurture inner peace, respect for life, and global awareness, emphasizing the leading role they can play in fostering world peace. Earth Kids Space program offers a safe space for children to gather after school and on weekends to learn about peace, harmony, and respect for all life and the environment through experimental activities. Run by community volunteers, children are encouraged to fully express their unique potential and qualities. As a program for global citizenship education, we collaborate with over 100 foreign embassies in Japan to coordinate lectures by diplomats in schools and universities. We believe that learning to respect difference, ethnicities, faiths, traditions, and customs is an essential part of creating unity in diversity. Also, we have been collaborating with UNESCO to promote education for sustainable development, so-called ESD, to empower and mobilize youth to take responsible actions for a sustainable future. Additionally, our annual International Essay Contest for Young People harnesses the energy, creativity, and initiative of the world's youth in promoting a culture of peace. More than 20,000 entries are received from over 150 countries each year. And the Citizen Entrepreneurship Competition offers entrepreneurship education and an online platform to mobilize youth-led innovations to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Also, we organize Peace Pulse Art Contest together with our sister organization, May Peace Prevail on Us International, and encourage younger children to express the spirit of the message, May Peace Prevail on Us, through their creative artwork. Now, more than ever before, we are called upon to come together as one humanity. We must nurture the necessary transformation, not only in our education system, but in all fields, including economics, science, medicine, politics, and business. Working together, we can awaken the global heart and create a world in which each of us can give expression to our highest self in service to the human family and all life on earth. May peace prevail on us, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. HIROO, for a very clear and challenging presentation, special for us educators. It's a great honor to receive our next speaker, Mrs. MASAMI SAIONJI. She's a writer, chairperson of the Going Peace Foundation, spiritual leader, and peace activist. Travels globally delivering speeches and leading peace ceremonies. Mrs. SAIONJI emphasized that our oneness cannot come from national authority, knowledge, wealth, or money. It can only be manifest through the hearts of people. Mrs. SAIONJI's speech is delivered in Japanese with English subtitles. Please, Mrs. SAIONJI.
皆様ごきげんよう。私は西園寺正美でございます。この度はワールドエデュケーションコンファレンスのスピーカーとしてご招待くださいまして誠にありがとうございます。2000年のジュネーブの会議の発足から22年間あらゆるネットワークのつながりを持ち、グローバルかつローカルに未来の子どもたちと地球のためにこのような会議を開いてくださり、心より感謝申し上げております。さて、私がいただいた課題は、One Humanity、グローバルに心をつないで目覚めていこうというものでございました。私は、これは私が今の時代に解き始めた私のミッションでございますので、それをお話しさせていただきます。いろいろなネットワーク、世界中にいろいろなネットワークを私は築いております。ノーベル平和賞から、それから大統領から、トータル300名の人たちがいろいろな国から参加しております。でもその中で、やはりご老人、私はもう老人ですから、ご老人になられた方が半数いらっしゃって、まだ中年の方々がいらっしゃるので、これから若者たちを育てていこうという、その決意が決まりました。で、若者たちが世界を一つにして国、だから人種や民族や宗教や国、それから男性、女性、この差別のすっかり取り外して全人類皆一つ、その一つの原点の一つ、つながっている一つは神聖というその言葉でございます。この神聖ということについて私は述べたいと思います。神聖とはこの 赤ちゃんとしてこのように誕生してくるその赤ちゃんは皆清い神聖というその神の心を持って生まれてきているんです。そして本当に等しく神聖なんです。生きる価値があるんです。生きる権利があるんです。それを私たちは間違えてはいけないと思うんです。で、そのいろんな貧しい国からいろいろな軍国主義の国から今その中でももう本当に神聖という意識が世界中につながればみんな一体感で一つにつながるんですけど、権力、権威、それから主義主張、それからお金、それからいろいろな産業、そういうものを通して奪い合いや消し合い、そういうものでこの世の中はめちゃくちゃになっております。それに加えてまたこの自然現象のこの大変なすごい雨、嵐、火山爆発、地震、もうすべてその海のその岩盤、下の岩盤が擦れたり登ったりして、もう地球を本当に動かすぐらいのそのエネルギーがまた活躍し始めました。で、全人類がこの時代をどうやって過ごしていくか。この時に本当に世界が一つにつながらなければ、国家の権力でも、それから知識でも、地位でも、ゆとりでも、お金でもできません。できるのは一人一人の心です。で、心は皆、全人類、ハンディでも黒人でも人種差別なくみんな神聖という、私は何回も繰ります。神聖を持っています。その神聖というものは神聖があるからこそ生まれてきたのです。神聖というものは自分自身が持っている本当の生きるその信念とか価値とか力とか英知とか全部備わっているのです。神のような力です。ですから生まれた時にはもう本当におぎゃおぎゃで目も見えない、耳も聞こえない、もう何もしないでこんなになって生まれた時はまず息を吐いて酸素を吸う。そしてそれが自然にできる。そしてお腹が空いた時はもう親が教える前にもうおっぱい吸い付いて赤ちゃんごくごく飲む。この飲むことなんていうのは親が教えなくても自然に出てくる命を自分が伸びていくためにはそれが必要だから神聖が出る。その後赤ちゃんはハイハイとか歩くこととかいろいろなことを自分一人で親がハイハイなんて教えられるわけがありません。それも自分のちょうど時が来てハイハイができるんです。それから立つことも本当に親が教えるんじゃなくていつの間にかどっかの椅子やテーブルに座って子供が立とうとしているのを親がはっと見てびっくり仰天するほど親が子供の成長に驚かされてそれで危ないと思って手を添えるんですけど子供は自分自身で立てるのです。そして自分自身で時がわかるんです。歯が入るのもそうです。遅い、親は遅い、早いで、また、いろいろな、他の子供たちと比べて、うちの子供は遅いわ、うちのは早いわ、それからよく食べるわ。これは関係ないのです。その子供の成長に従って、神聖の、出ていく具合がだんだんと、はっきりと現れてくるんです。そして立ち上がる。それから歩く。これも親が一歩一歩教えるんではなくて、子供が当に知ってる当たり前のことをやってるだけです。ですから、そういうのを見ると、神聖、みんな、それは、この、赤ちゃんのそこまでの1歳までの過程は親が教えるわけではない。ですから、人種や国民や国家が違っても、同じ子供たちは同じように自分の力で生まれてそして育っていくんです。それでいろいろ黒人だの差別だのそれから国家の有能な国とか低い国とかそういう勝手に大人たちが決めた世界の中に放り出されていく。そうするとそこに平等とか偏見とか差が出てきて違いが出てくる。でも本当は神聖で平等であるということを私たちは決して忘れてはいけない。ですからどこの子供もどこの老人もどの人種もみんな神聖でつながってるからみんな尊い人間として本当に尊い人たちですからそこには差別はない。 でもその他差別を作っているその人たちがたくさんいる。ですがここで、闘争が起きたり戦争が起こったり、今にももう本当地球もその絶滅する近くまでなっております。ですから私はこの時ちょうど来たと思います。全人類が一つにつながらなければいけない。そして国家も人種も民族もない。人間はみんな一つである。神性を持ったつながりを持っている。子供も大人も老人も死ぬ直前の方たちもみんな平等に生きるまで生きる。神性があるまでは生きる。そして死ぬ時はその神性が全部途絶えた時に天国、神様の世界へ行くということにその循環していくので、私たちはその今こうやって生かされているどこの国、貧しい国、今ウクライナやロシアでその戦っている国で生かされていても、自分にはみんな神性があるから神性を出す。で守られている。で忘れてもこういう自分の神性で生きるんだと思えば、神性がパッと意識で直感力を与えてくれて、そして防ぐ、今ここでそのとどまっているというその直感力が出てくるんですね。ですから私たちは常に神性を思い出して、自分は神聖なる人間だ。だから人を救うし、人と共に調和していかれるし、そこには差別もないし、権力もないし、そういう違いのない神性でつながっていく世界を本当につないでいきたいなと思っております。こういう時にこういうその私の拙いスピーチを聞いてくださって誠にありがとうございました。またこういう機会を与えてくださいまして心より感謝申し上げます。これからもどうぞよろしくお願い申し上げます。
Thanks, Mrs. SAIONJI, for your inspiring presentation. To close today's program, a project for transmutation healing, I'm glad to introduce Dr. Nina MEYERHOF. She is founder and president of the Children of Earth and co-founder with Domen Kosova of the One Humanity Institute.
Morning, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening. It's my pleasure to meet you. My name is Dr. Nina MEYERHOF, and I am founder and director of Children of the Earth, which is a young people's organization recognized by the United Nations. And I am co-founder of One Humanity Institute with Domen Kosova. So I'm happy to be here and share about our project. I'd like to tell you a little story, if that's okay with you, that shows how my heart has been awakened to make a difference in this world. So as a person that's been working in the peace field for almost 50 years, maybe 50, I can't count, I ended up going to Auschwitz, which has a history of the most horrid example of what humanity can do to humanity. And there, Domen and I began to daydream. What if we could show the world the antithesis of this, like find a place, create an environment, concretize and materialize. What does peace actually look like? So that's the question. Imagine 2.5 million people go there every year, come out of that place shattered by seeing what they see, and yet nowhere to process and nowhere to begin to think, what are the solutions to make sure this never happens again? What are the lessons to be learned? And so we designed a complex, a campus of what we imagined it could look like. At the same time, we were gifted 2 buildings within the town of Auschwitz, which is the housing of Auschwitz. And there, when Nina, I, and 2 other people went to Poland because we heard the cry of the Ukrainian war, it behooved me. I had no choice. I rose to the occasion, and we went there even before any of the other NGOs were there. We went to the border, and we came with 25 teddy bears to give out to each child that crossed the border. But what do you think happened? We received 1,000 teddy bears, and we gave them out one by one to every child, and that child would hug that teddy bear, and that child would look at mama, and mama would feel good for a moment in her life. But a real question was, where do I stay tonight? Where do I sleep? And you know, Poland is taking in between 3 and 4 million people, and the hotels have filled themselves with people, but the stay is 3 to 5 days, and homes have opened their doors. So we took our building and refitted it. We did GoFundMes everywhere, and people rose to the occasion, and we refitted a house that can house 30 people, 30 to 40, and work then on what is our mission and vision for the place. So right now people are moving in and everything's occurring, and it's a beautiful potential of what we believe, because what we believe is that we can be one humanity and we can care and share for each other, and that's the only way we will survive. And so now we're going into the next step of developing the real concept behind this. Like for the houses, which is called the bakery because it was once a bakery, we are making a social innovation hub. I'm going to show you a movie of the House of Hope where the Ukrainians live.
Hi, Olena. Nice to see you.
Заходите к нам в гости.
Thank you, thank you.
Прошу.
This is your first.
Тут ми мешкаємо.
Okay. Show us.
Ну, у нас еще речи такие, еще в процессе все мешкания, ремонта. Проходите.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Тут наша кухня.
Okay.
Трошки не прибрана, готую їсти, їдзення. Це наш покой.
Okay.
Мы уже обуютились. Все классно, супер. Спим с Тимофеем здесь.
Okay.
Проходи.
Okay. How are you?
Все
Sexy
хорошо,
человек.
все классно. Спасибо вам большое. Спасибо. Еще одни покои есть. Пошлите, я вам покажу.
Okay.
Тут трошки готовлюсь вбрання. Чекаємо нових мешканців, наших сусідів.
Soon. Wkrótce będą.
Да, спасибо вам большое, все классно, нам нравится.
Thank you. Really nice to see you and have you here. So, a lot of happiness here. And we are happy to have you here. Really. Thank you.
Спасибо.
And we will make, I don't know.
That's the House of Hope for Ukrainians. And that's our hope, the global heart awakening amongst us all. And now I'd be happy to show you the big project, because when we came there, we discovered across the street from Auschwitz is a big area with 12 barracks that are no longer being used. They were once used by the SS troops and now are basically empty. And so we are going to show you a movie of what that potential can be also.
Imagine that there is an end to terror, suffering, trauma. Imagine there is a place unlike any other that is dedicating its total existence to this cause as the answer to one of the world's darkest moments in history. Placed close to Auschwitz, the city of hope, or one humanity, focusing on collaboration, equality, responsibility, creativity, and innovation. to spread love and all our mutual caring. A city, a sanctuary, a response. To act towards a world of peace using sustainable, mutual, experiential paths for seeing the change. Imagine, this place already exists. With a team of people just like you that believe in this vision of a world of peace. Let's pursue this world together.
So as you see, that is our concept, and it is emerging. And the idea is to create a solutionarium. Imagine if NGOs would come together, coalesce, collaborate, and share all their insight on how to become a world that works for all of us. Because obviously that's what we need. The way things are, it's very critical, but it's good because in this critical moment, we can make really important choices. Do we go to the dark or do we go to the light? Obviously, we must pick what's in our best interest. And it's no longer in our best interest to think of the I. It's in our best interest to think of the we. And if we go to the we become one. Because we have that interconnectedness, that interdependence, and the unity of all. And in that unity, there is hope, there is understanding, and there's creativity to build a world that works. The young people are coming forward. They are very critical of what's going on. They feel disenfranchised. It's their time to step forward with new ideas, and it's our time to support them in this process. Please, people, open your hearts, give generously, work daily towards this. The only meaning of life is your own evolution, and your own evolution is completed by the service you do to others for others and how you embrace them and yourself within that circle to make us a planet that thrives, that's resilient, regenerative, and all those wonderful words. Wake up your heart and begin to live a meaningful life. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Many thanks, Dr. Nina. My heartfelt gratitude to all today's speakers and to all that work to make this transmission available. After November 15th, the whole program could be accessed at Recon Global channel in YouTube. I hope to see you again in the next session on One Future, the global governance for children. Thank you for joining this worldwide conversation.